Most of us, most of the time, are simply overwhelmed with information. Wherever we look, there's another notification, there's an article to read, another YouTube video to watch, and maybe you spend too long scrolling on the internet or looking at TikTok or Facebook or just not enjoying the internet as much as you could be. I remember when the internet first came out, or at least when I was very young, there was a sense of excitement with using the internet, with learning, with figuring out something new. But the internet has really evolved and it started to control us. It started to control our minds. And many of us have started to build a bad relationship with the internet. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can improve your relationship with the internet. And this video is going to be going over some of the notes and thoughts that were sparked by talk I went to last week at Yale conference. There was a TEDx speaker called Fabio Pereira. He wrote this book, and I got a free signed copy, which is amazing. It's called Infobesity by this guy. And I'm going to just talk about some of the things I learned in this talk. Now, the cool thing about Fabio is he made a BMI index similar to the BMI index you check if you are overweight or obese. He did the same thing with information. Are you overloaded with information? Are you information obese? Well, at the end of this video, you can check out the link and you can figure out for yourself if you are actually info obese. And you can start to make steps to resolve it. But without further ado, let's just dive straight into some of the things I learned. So you might have seen this before. It's called the hook model. This is how the internet pretty much runs these days. Trigger, action, variable reward, investment, and you just cycle through this. This basically manipulates you. You just don't know it. There's hundreds of nudges that impact our biases. You're always being nudged to, whether it be check a Slack message, check your phone, check your notification. This is a very famous model. There's a book called Hooked, which I recommend you check out if you are interested in reading more about this. It's a good book. And the internet right now is insane. Like, look how many things are created every 60 seconds. Like, unbelievable amount of information. So we've transformed the world from a place of scarcity into a place of overwhelming abundance. But we haven't changed our mindset, have we? Currently, we still have scarcity or loss aversion that's kicking in because of our wiring, which makes us act. And action means we feel like we must read, look, and find out. Otherwise, we might miss out on something important. Well, not everything is equally important and urgent. Furthermore, everyone has limited attention. Like you have a health bar in a video game, we have an information bar. And every time we're exposed to a piece of information or have to make a decision, that bar could decrease slightly. It's estimated that the average adult makes about 3,500 remotely conscious decisions every day. That is insane. That's a lot of decisions. So the sort of the premise of this book is, what if we started to look at our information as food? To have a healthy lifestyle, you have to eat the right types of food, don't you? And so it's about building a healthy relationship with technology and information. If you don't control technology, it will control you. And with diet, with food, with nutrition, there's a concept of what we should be eating and there's a concept of what we shouldn't be eating, right? We learn this from school. We learn this around us. We talk about it. We say, oh, this isn't good. This is a good food. This is not a good food. We kind of know that. And the problem is right now the internet's very new with information. There's no real concept that we've established for what we should be consuming and what we shouldn't be consuming. So we need to be our own information nutritionist so we know what type of information we're consuming and asking why. So we eat the broccoli, not the hamburgers. And further to this concept, like you can think about how you wouldn't eat ice cream for breakfast. Like you just wouldn't, right? Because it's the concept of what you eat for breakfast is different. And you probably wouldn't feel good if you did that either. If you ate ice cream for breakfast, you might say, okay, it was a rare day. I was catching a flight to a different country and the ice cream looked good. It was a special occasion. But it's not going to be something you start to do every single day, right? Same thing with information. That's how we need to start treating it and thinking about it. And so infobesity or information overload is like going to an all you eat can eat restaurant and eating everything in front of you until you finally realize that you've eaten a lot of things you didn't actually want. And that results in mental fatigue, which causes all sorts of issues. Burnout, exhaustion, bad feelings from social media usage, technology addiction. Infobesity is not only the result of access information, but also our lack of control and lack of filters to manage it. Furthermore, a person is capable of generating 50,000 thoughts in a single day. When we ruminate on events or situations, especially those that refer to our past, we are exhausting our brain with processes and information that generate nothing more than uncertainty and anguish. So that's covering sort of the bad side of it, but what can we do? So the book first refers or discusses dieting. Well, restrictive diets, we know they don't work and they're not sustainable. People just can't follow those restrictive diets for long term. In the same way, a restrictive technology diet, like a digital detox, probably won't work long term for you. You can't always keep doing it. You could do it once. You could try it. It could help you and help to reset your brain, but it's not something you can sustain. So learning to use it is different from ceasing to. And the focus here is on re-education rather than restriction. So the first thing to do is to dedicate yourself to observing your own body and signals it gives you. If you want to live a healthy life, watch your body's signals. It doesn't lie. So these are 4 steps. Recognition, you recognize, you become aware, you practice awareness. Acceptance, accepting you have a problem, creating a path to solving the problem. And the reason you want to accept is when you can accept you have the problem, you stop hiding from it. You take responsibility. You create a path to solving the problem, and then constant transformation, constantly transforming how you use it, testing things out, trying out new strategies, seeing what works, discarding what doesn't. Now, here's just some things I wrote down. Limiting your consumption on certain websites or things that you know are obviously bad for you. 26 minutes on Instagram makes you feel happy. 54 minutes makes you feel sad. That's a quote from the book. So if you know that a small amount of something does make you happy and you can figure out the amount of time that it makes you happy for, and then if you exceed that, well, if I go over 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I'm actually feeling worse. Based on that new found awareness, you can start to set limits. Now, limiting or minimizing context switching is also very important. I've personally found great use from a Pomodoro timer. Now, it's about prioritizing the right information for you. You don't want to delegate priority to when the thing arrived. You want to think of a better way because information is constantly arriving. If you are just reacting all the time to something that appears that's new, your brain's going to start to become really scrambled unless maybe you have a really strong threshold. But even then, it's really limiting. It's really limiting your capacity and how deep you can go into things. So don't delegate priority to when the thing arrived. Think of a better way, such as filtering emails by priority rather than viewing them by most recent to least recent, which is a poor metric of priority or value. But that's what we're used to doing, right? We're used to seeing and reacting. We want to get out of that mindset. So you want to label your information based on actionability. How much do you need to act on this information? You can try things like email filters, email lists, prioritization of different message types. For example, you might prioritize Slack messages over Facebook messages, over Instagram messages, over Tinder messages. One thing I learned was about Google Chrome. You can group tabs. I think I always knew you could do that, but I didn't fully realize the extent of how bad it is to have this many tabs open. I am a culprit. I have been a culprit of this strategy of making tabs and opening them up and not closing them. But honestly, it has not been great for my work, and it has not been great for the amount of context switching and mind scrambling it's done. So when you see information in front of you that's growing, you need to do something about it. It takes your brain cognitive load, leading to screen fatigue. And labeling your information as a cool thing from the graph, information quadrant, important, urgent, do it now. Important, not urgent, decide, schedule time. Urgent, not important, delegate it, or even not important, not urgent, delete it. If it's not furthering your goals, if it's not furthering, who you want to be, where you're moving to, why are you doing these tasks? And I think a lot of us spend a lot of time doing things that are not urgent, not important, and maybe not even enjoyable. But we just do it anyway. We're addicted. But remember, you can always eliminate it. You can always delete it. Having an intentional thing you want to do at X time reduces cognitive load. This is about making a commitment with your future self to doing something you want to do. And finally, there's this other idea. It's called JOMO, joy of missing out. Accepting the fact that you are missing everything that's happening in the digital world and just being happy about that. Just being happy that you're missing like all these things that all these videos that you could watch, all these messages, all these Facebook posts and likes and all that. You're missing it. The joy of that. Realizing and appreciating the abundance of the few things that you do consume and being happy with that. Cultivating joy and appreciation for what is in front of you. Fully appreciating what you are learning. What's directly in front of you. This is the antidote to FOMO. Here's another cool thing that they discussed in the talk. One day we may have AI that handles the filtering and prioritization of information for us. So instead of handling email filters and all those things I talked about before, imagine if you could train an AI to understand you, your priorities, what you want, and it literally will start to filter and hide and snooze different things based on you. That would be really cool. And I think somebody is going to invent that. Maybe one of you guys watching right now. Wouldn't that be cool? Here's another cool thing. Taking breaks, right? Do you remember to take breaks? I hope you do. I've really been enjoying taking breaks recently. Now, if you don't take breaks, your brain starts to accumulate a lot of bad substances. So here's a little picture of meetings. Meeting 1, meeting 2, meeting 3, meeting 4. You can start to see all this yellow, red. I don't know what it means specifically, but it is not good. It means the brain is being overloaded in the scanner. But when the person had breaks, 5 to 10 minutes only between meetings, you can start to see a lot of that was retained. And they were in a far, far, far better state. And so simply a 5 to 10 minute break can offset a lot of that damage and bad substances that are starting to accumulate in the brain. Furthermore, our brain learns more when it is exposed to short breaks. Because when it has a break, what it's doing is it is repeating the thing you've learned at an accelerated rate. Like if you've tried to play an instrument, it goes through the memories in your brain, in the back of your mind, while you aren't even thinking about it. It's processing. It's like a computer. And that boosts your learning. Something you can do for teams if you work in a team, maybe you are at work. Cognitive load meter. This is a test to bring awareness on potential team overload. So you get everyone to do this in the team, and you can sort of work out, okay, how is their cognitive load? Are they being overwhelmed? Can they focus? What's happening? Now, let's summarize, let's recap. So there's this idea, and I've been talking about it, of infobesity. Well, there's actually a test you can do. And as I said before, it's like the BMI index. It's a BMI index for information. And it's rated from sort of 0 to 100. I did the test today and I got 41, which is considered just in the overweight category. It shows there are a few areas where I need to improve on. It's seen as having mild infobesity. You're usually careful not to exceed the daily load of information, but often end up going overboard and not really knowing why. I think that is true. You can click on this link here and you can give this a go. I'll put a link in the description below. Give it a go, guys. See what happens. Now, here's a little recap. Right, what do we need to do? We need to step on the scale. We need to look at information as food. We need to, and I didn't talk about this, but nudging yourself in the correct way for the good things that are good, not the things that are bad. Take small breaks. Categorize on actionability. When should you action this? Rather than when does it arrive? Embrace the joy of missing out and take some action on this as well. Now, here's a great photo from the book. Your cooking skills. So you make better food choices, that improves the time to cook and eat, which improves your cooking skills, which actually doesn't really make sense that time to cook and eat would be impacted by better food choices. I don't know. Maybe. I'm a bit skeptical about that link, but you get the overall point, which is that, if you make better food choices, you're probably going to enjoy cooking more. You're probably going to have a good ass cook up, and you're probably going to enjoy the food more. And you're going to get better at the process of cooking as you cook. You are going to get better at the process of buying food as you purchase more food and shop around and try out the local markets and figure things out. Same idea here, guys. You are going to get better with information as you practice this. It might look intimidating right now. You might feel overwhelmed. You might feel stressed. Maybe you have extreme obesity. Maybe you are just neutral. But either way, I think there's something you can learn here. And it's just the simple fact of looking at information like food. And I think that simple shift is actually, and for me, it was really profound. And I'm really grateful for going to this talk and picking up the free signed book from the dude, Fabio, at the talk. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know. Maybe share your story. I'm curious what you'll say. Catch you later. Peace.